Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
We go to our next speaker, and that is Christina there. So, hey, that was perfect. Synchronicity and invitation.
Synchronicity,
Christina.
yes.
Amazing.
I was actually seeing Vesta and that tulip with the flames, you know.
Wow, amazing. What to say about you? Do you want to present yourself? I can say some very quick things about Christina,
Please do.
astrologies, psychotherapies, amazing knowledge in the archetypes, how they work with us, and in mythology. I love mythology. So she could even, I don't know what she would choose to talk today, but well, it's here. She would speak about the divine message through the astrological archetypes. Though she's an encyclopedia of knowledge and wisdom, we give her now, I give you the space to talk about your topic for 15 minutes. Wonderful to have you with us. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you so much, Amrita, and thank you, everybody. It's been fantastic, at least in this track 3 that I've been since earlier on. I loved seeing these young people like Jonathan and Claudia doing this wonderful work. Really, they made me feel at peace when I think of all these incredible new generations that are coming with an amazing awareness, and they are on the right track. They're just wonderful. And yeah, well, today I wanted to talk about the myth of Aries, but before that, I want to say that since very, very, very young, mythology and all the stories about mythology, maybe because my mother used to read these stories to me, I found them extraordinarily beautiful and creative. And I thought, who thought of all of this? Who wrote these stories, you know? And being from a Catholic country, people were talking about the Bible and the richness of the Bible. And me, I kept thinking, yeah, but what about these myths? What about these stories about all these gods? And so from very early, I mean, when I was 20, I already thought that I know about astrology much more than I know now, because perhaps my knowledge of astrology came from long before I was born. But yet, it's only when you really begin to do it, and when you begin to research it, and when you begin to study it, that then you begin to understand and can channel this knowledge you know we probably come with. But always in my heart, I've been a therapist, always in my heart trying to heal not just me but everyone around it, as we do when we discover all these different techniques. I've gone through many techniques. I had many teachers, too many to mention, wonderful, magnificent teachers who have changed my life, many of them. I've gone through, obviously, psychoanalysis because I was brought up in Argentina, and that's like the normal thing. You just go to the therapist in Argentina, even if you can do your homework, you know. And then, obviously, I'm a dancer, so I moved to Japan when I was 24, and that was the big shock of my life when I discovered that the stories they have told me in my culture were not it, that there was another story somewhere that didn't seem to be very similar to ours. So from then on, in all my travels and the different techniques that I journeyed through, I realized one extraordinary thing, that the reason why I loved so much Greek myth is because it put me in touch with symbology. And one of the things that I would like to talk about today, it's about the dangers of trying to literalize symbols. Symbols are there to suggest something to us so that we can open our consciousness to find an explanation to whatever it is that these symbols evoke. The moment I literalize it, The moment I say, well, this is like this, when this one crosses that, it's that. The moment I do that, I'm destroying the symbol and the learning and the teachings of the symbol. We communicate through symbols since the beginnings of times, because we must remember that electricity came to the world at the end of the 19th century. Some places in the beginning of the 20th century, which means that at night, humans only had the skies to look at, up to. And so men have been trying to understand what this movement of the sky mean. And obviously, when one contacts this beautiful richness of stories, and we are always reaching for the divine, always. Why? Why do we all want to be divine? Because it seems that our little, small lives of the incarnation, of the living inside this body is just too small. There has to be something else in life other than this life inside this body. And so we will always reach for the divine, and we can reach in many different ways. We all have wonderful ways of reaching for the divine, and we can enrich ourselves by going through all these different channels that would make us understand that, yes, we can reach the divine, but we also in this human body until I die. So in the teachings of Don Juan, of Carlos Castañeda, he used to talk a lot about this. He used to say, after the man of knowledge understands what the divine is, what power really is, he has to learn about old age, because old age will bring us back to our body, and it will make us realize that whilst with this body, I have to learn to deal with it and accept it. So in mythology, we have the wonderful labors of Hercules or Heracles, where as he goes through all his labors, where he's always either killing a beast or learning to ride a beast, or right until the end, when he's almost a divine, he still has to deal with the beast. And so I find that we cannot forget that we have this wonderful body that allows me to see, to touch, to enjoy, to have pleasure. If we are constantly just trying to escape the body, we are betraying ourselves, because we are inside this body, and in this lifetime, I am this body with this name and this personality. Then maybe in other lives, I am something else. So to respect and accept the fact, even Christ died at a cross. He died crucified next to two regular criminals. I can't imagine a better symbology that while we are in this body, we are simple mortals. Never mind how little and insignificant our lives may seem, but it is within this body that I can reach the divine. Christ had to die at the cross to give us the message. We know Christ for what he said and what he did. We know Hercules for what he did only. He didn't say much, but it's all symbolic. So I would like to tell you about, in astrology, when we discover new planets, there's this mystery. Why that name? Why did we call Pluto Pluto? Why did we call Neptune Neptune? Why did we call Saturn Saturn? And what does that mean for us and for our consciousness? So we now discover a new planet called Eris. It's further away from Pluto, just as small as Pluto, which means that it's just as small as our moon. Why have we called it Eris? So it seems that when we discover a new planet that goes around the sun together with all the other planets, in this amazing clock that is perfect geometry, perfect. All the planets go around the sun at the same time, in their own time for millions of years. we will have to go to another planet to understand that maybe women's menstruation has nothing to do with the moon. But as we stand on this planet, the cycle of women menstruation is 28 days, which is the cycle of the moon. Venus goes around in 250 years, Jupiter in 12, Saturn in 29. So this is all this amazing clock that when we start investigating it, like we have done for centuries, we begin to understand that we are part of this. And actually the birth chart is the perfect example that although we are all unique because they are not two charts the same, we all have all the same planets in that birth chart. So we are part of the same solar system, but different. Nobody is the same. And I love that Amrita was saying about Leo, which is the heart. Even when we say the heart is a symbol, we say these things and we don't realize that we're speaking symbolically. It's not this heart, the actual organ. We're talking about a symbol of what the heart means, which is in the center of our body. So we now discovered this new planet called Aries, what we call it Aries after a little bit of dissonance between the astronomers that have discovered it. So I would like to end telling you the story about Aries. Aries is the Maleficent of the Sleeping Beauty. It's the unwanted one, the uninvited one. It's the goddess of discord, it's the goddess of strife. Anybody that is on a journey to discover themselves goes through Aries at one point in their lives, because we're going to stand at a point where we are saying, thinking different than everybody else, and we're going to feel that we're out, not included. So Aries was a troublemaker. Wherever she went, she just asked questions. When you ask a question, you create discord, because everybody is going to answer something different. And everybody's going to tell you their own story, their own vision, their own technique. All the techniques are good, but one is not the truth. All of it is the truth, not one. For me, it can be the truth, astrology. Yes, for me it is, because it works for me and it works for many people that are around me. But it's not the truth. And so Aries, there's a big wedding, and Aries obviously is not invited, and all the other gods and goddesses are invited. So she decides that she will turn up anyway. And she brings with her a little golden apple from the tree of wisdom and the tree of life, and throws it in the wedding and says, the apple said, to the fairest. So Zeus, or Thor, the big god, he thought, cat fight. And so he gets Paris, the son of the king of Troy, and says, hey, Paris, comes, give it two, and it puts three of the main goddesses, says, choose between these three. And Paris is terrified because he knows that if he chooses one, the other two are going to be on top of him, as they were, actually. So the three goddesses were Hera, the wife of Zeus, which is the symbol of power. Pallas Athena, the daughter of Zeus, who is the goddess of wisdom. And the other one was Aphrodite, the goddess of love, we normally say. But obviously, all these goddesses are much more than all that. If I just say that word, I'm literalizing something that is much bigger than all that. And so they all come to Paris and say, okay, if you choose me, says Hera, I make you the most powerful man on the planet. And Pallas Athena says, if you choose me, I make you the wisest man in the world. Paris wasn't very secure about himself in any of these aspects, so it was tempting. And Aphrodite comes and says, if you choose me, I give you the most beautiful woman on the planet. So Paris, after thinking, he chooses Aphrodite. Of course, that the most beautiful woman was Helen of Troy, who was already married with her husband in the wedding. So Aphrodite gets the apple, and she decides to make Helen and Paris fall in love. And of course, that led to the fire of Troy, the war of 10 years between Troy and Greeks. So I've meditated a lot about this myth. I thought, would Paris just choose Aphrodite because he wanted the nice girl? So when we think of Aphrodite, I'm finishing. When we think of Aphrodite is the one that tells us you must relate, you must unite. Aphrodite is also the Pachamama. Is also, all these goddesses are part of the same big meaning, but in different aspects. There's no good wisdom or good power if we don't have beauty in the world, if we don't connect to the beauty of the world, if we cannot sit in front of a sunrise or a sunset and meditate and be happy for just being there in front of that beauty. So the world without beauty and without our contact to nature is a sad world, really. So I think this is why Paris chose Aphrodite, not for the girl who unconsciously he knew he was going to lose anyway. So coming back to the reality of now, I think that I want to thank everybody for this beautiful gathering, and Rita, for you organizing as well as this together with Thor and Dr. Yugandhar. I mean, I think that we're all on the same track with our different stories and our different truths. But let's continue doing this. Let's re-enchant this world.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christina. That was wonderful. We can't wait to hear more. And as I said in other tracks too, it would be wonderful to have a series where you all can expand in one subject and we can have longer interviews. And this is coming soon also from the World United, so we hope to have you there, because I cannot hear enough from every one of you in just 15 minutes. So we go now. Please wait here and for the panel of discussion if you can all, and